Today, as part of Ginny D and Pointy Hat's Kraken week, I thought I'd jump in with looking at the Kraken itself, looking at the Trauma Kratis, a type of Kraken, and looking at the Trauma Kraken / Tremor Kratis. Who knows? So Krakens lie dormant for eons and then wake up to feed. Some are worshipped as gods, but mostly feared. 6 miles away from a Kraken's lair, the weather can be altered by the Kraken itself, although nobody would know that was what was going on. Watermelon. Water elementals all grouped together in that 6 mile radius. I don't know how many there is. How many do you want? Aquatic creatures like fish and whatever else, they have an aggressive attitude towards anyone entering that zone. 6 miles away. This might just start as little fish just butting heads with you for some reason. So in the waters around the lair, it will be inky and black. It's a little tell that the Kraken is awakening. So as a telltale sign, you need a lot of sunken ships, and therefore maybe caves with treasure hoarded by the Kraken. Hoarded is maybe not the right word, but caves filled with treasure. So the lair actions of a Kraken on initiative 20, so high up the chain, a strong current will cause a DC 23 strength save, or you get pushed 60 feet away from the Kraken's lair. If you are that close, you have vulnerability, double damage, to lightning damage from the Kraken. In fact, since it controls weather, it can turn it to lightning and you're in the water, mate. Be careful. But inside the Kraken's lair, the water is electrically charged. If you're especially within 120 feet of the Kraken itself, DC 23 con save or 3d6 lightning damage. And those are on initiative 20. So the Kraken is gargantuan and it has an AC of 18 with its natural armour. Because I do full damage, my party would be fighting a Kraken with 729 health. It can only move 20 feet at a time, so that's one thing. With great strength and quite poor dex, it might have to rely on its immunities, which is lightning, bludgeoning, piercing and slashing from non-magical attacks. It's immune to being frightened, or you can't paralyse it. True sight up to 120 feet. It speaks telepathically. It's so big, it ignores difficult terrain. Deals double damage to things it walks over and, more importantly, through. The Kraken has 10 tentacles. Lashes out for plus 17 to hit. Does an average of 20 bludgeoning. And you grappled instantly. You are restrained, and it can restrain up to 10 people. Now the Kraken can throw these people up to 60 feet, into a wall perhaps, or into each other. For every 10 feet of those 60 feet, it takes an extra 1d6 bludgeoning on top of any extra damage that you see fit. Perhaps it has a player grappled and it simply takes a bite out of it. That's plus 17. 3d8 plus 10 piercing damage. It can swallow the creature, blinded and restrained. 12d6 acid damage at the start of the Kraken's turns. But we know the usual thing, if the Kraken takes 50 damage, it has to do a con save or it throws creatures out. So it also has the Lightning Storm ability. Now remember, the players are vulnerable. That's double the damage of the damage noted. 3 bolts of lightning. It's a DC 23 dex save or 4d10 lightning damage. But if they're vulnerable, that's double. Of course, it has 3 legendary actions, which can only be taken between character turns. You have that beautiful tentacle attack or fling. You have that wonderful lightning storm, doubled damage again. Or you have the ink cloud. While underwater, the ink cloud goes 60 foot radius, heavily obscures the area. It's a DC 23 con save or 3d10 poison damage. Not to forget its allies in the area, water elementals, sharks, giant octopus, maybe have loads of sea life come, but the lightning damage to the water would also electrify the animals around. Absolutely formidable. You can even just use it in part, like a Kraken's tentacle comes out of the sea on a beach and attacks you before stealing something to eat and leaving. I've seen this used twice in 5e modules. If you want to step things up a bit, there's the Trauma Kratis from the Mythic Odyssey of Theros. It also has a Magic the Gathering card. Now then, the Trauma Kratis does not have a lair. This thing will actually fight other Krakens. Somewhere out there in the world is a horn that can summon the Trauma Kratis. Well, there's an adventure right there. Now 609 health might not seem as good an enemy, but wait. The Heart of the Kraken mythic trait means it has 4 hearts, so it's got over 1,000 health. Let's take a look. AC 22, swims a little bit faster at 30 feet, good strength, rubbish dex. Very much the same as what we've looked at. No telepathy. Heart of the Kraken. When Traumakratis is reduced to 0, it doesn't die or fall unconscious. The damage creates cracks in its carapace, revealing its hearts. Traumakratis has 4 hearts. 2 on its chest, 1 on its back, and 1 on the base of its tail. This is the game Shadow of the Colossus, if you've ever played that. The heart has an AC of 22 and 100 health. It's immune to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical, and is immune to all conditions. It simply treats a save as a 10. If it finishes a short or long rest, the carapace heals, and its hearts regenerate. You have to destroy all 4 hearts to kill it. And 3 times a day, it will say, "Oh no you don't," for a legendary resistance. Its weapons are magical, its attacks are magical, deals double damage to objects and structures. Advantage on saves against spells for a start. And anyone who tries to target it with a spell has disadvantage on that spell roll. The Traumakratis, in retaliation, will make 3 attacks. 1 pincer, 1 tail, and 1 tentacle grasp. The pincer is plus 18. It reaches 20 feet and does 3d6 plus 10 bludgeoning. And you are grappled for a DC 26 release. But that ties the pincer up. Tail attack plus 18, 20 foot reach, 3d8 plus 10 bludgeoning, knocks you prone. The tentacle grasp is plus 18, 3d6 plus 10 bludgeoning, and you're grappled again. If you don't escape by the next turn, you're thrown 60 feet like before, 66 bludgeoning damage. It can bite you, just the same as the Kraken. Plus 18 to hit, 3d12 plus 10 piercing, swallowed. You take 42 average acid damage each turn, and again, it can throw you up. So its legendary actions are moving, tail attack, 23 average damage, bite, an average of firstly 29 piercing, and then throwing you for the 42, and that's between the player turns. So when it's been defeated of its first bunch of hit points and its hearts open up, it can now do these mythic actions. So it can use these in place of legendary actions, or in addition. Rampage, it makes 2 attacks, 1 with its tail, 1 with its tentacle. Or Coral Growth, you make a DC 25 dex save or take 3d8 slashing damage, and until the start of the next turn, the Traumakratis gains a +2 bonus to AC. Well, its heart does, I should say. Now, Coral Growth, I imagine that it just comes out of its shell on the side, and maybe it actually means it grows out of the floor, just next to a player. I guess there's some room to play with it how you want. So finally, the Trauma Kraken, or Traumakratis, whatever. It's something of a DM's cheeky homebrew. So if the Kraken itself has 10 tentacles, likes to throw things, bite and swallow, that's the main theme you could use. Rather than 10 tentacles, does it have 10 heads? Do you swap out some of those tentacles for some sort of hook-handed ones? Or beholder stalks, casting huge spells? You can invent your legendary actions. Is there a ground stomp which shakes everyone for thunder damage? Is there a loud noise it makes? A scream which deafens people for psychic? I would say the hit points is infinite until a few cool moments have been done. You let the thing play out like it's never going to die until the players are using ingenuity and a cinematic ending to a great fight is had. Basically, the wheels are off and the worrying about stats is off. I have a tray of dice. For this monster, my homebrew monster, I would grab a handful of random dice, throw them on the table. I don't care if it's a mixture of D20s, D4s, D8s, D12s. That's the damage it does on this attack. That's called completely random. You will never face anything like it again in your life, and it's memorable. It's doing lightning beams from its eyes now. 4 dice, throw that. That's what it does. I think at this size, this level, you have fun, and that is all that is needed. Rather than frightful presence, does it tap into your inner traumas if your part is comfortable with such things? But, you decide your boundaries. Well, that's my Kraken Week video. That was a great idea, Ginny D and Pointy Hat, and I'll see you guys later.